welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video on the Range Rover. Now these cars in general, so your Range Rover, well I'm saying Land Rovers and Jaguars in general, are renowned for central locking issues. This particular one's intermittent, which is always nice to try and diagnose. Even the Freelander one that you can see behind, they suffer with central locking faults. It's just a Land Rover thing, it must be. So I'm going to show you how to diagnose it. Sometimes you can get away with that, you don't need any diagnostics, you can literally, the fault is there and you just need to look, but it's knowing where to look. So I'm going to run you through the procedures and we'll find out what's wrong with this one. So for example, now you've just pulled up at your destination, you lock the car, and straight away, that is the fault. So that beep there is telling you there's a fault with the central locking. Now straight away you'll notice the wing mirrors didn't go in, the indicators flashed, and you could hear the doors trying to lock. Well, that was a double click as well, by the way. So I've got to put the key in the garage because this is keyless entry, so I'll show you now. Right, so the key's a distance away from the car. The car alarm is set. That's why we've got that down. That didn't work. Right, let's try again. So, I'm going to double lock the car. That's working. And this is the joys with it being intermittent. It's working fine now. Right. Let's try again. So it's not wanting to play now. I'm going to try and make it do the audible beep. Just stick my hand in here. I'm going to double lock it. Right, that's what it was doing before. So that beep is saying there's a problem with the central locking. Now, car alarm is on. I'm going to put the key out the way now, out of range, because this one's got keyless entry, and I'm going to see which door's open. I'll start with the passenger side. The key's now out of range, so the car should now not unlock if somebody pulls the door handle. So that one's locked. The boot's locked. Now as well, you'll notice the wing mirrors have stayed out. So that's another telltale sign that there's a fault. The little beep comes on only if you double lock it. So I'll just open this one. There we go. So the alarm's all working, but people can still get in the car. So I'll just cancel the alarm off. Now, when you press open, the wing mirror should come back out. But as you can see from that, the alarm still works, but the car is not locked. Well, the other two doors are, but the driver's door is not locking. So there's a fault somewhere within this door, I'd say. So I'm now going to show you what's happening, and say like if you do pull up somewhere and you need to lock the car, I'm going to show you how to lock the car even though there's a fault. So when you know you've got a central locking issue, the easiest way to diagnose it, especially if you've realised now that there's a door open or there's a door not locking, is actually sit in the car. Now this one being a 3-door, it's a lot easier than a 5-door, don't get me wrong. But you can watch the actual locking mechanism on the door engage and disengage. Now if I press lock, you can see that that one there, well I'll show you properly in a minute, you can see that that one is not engaging the full way. So what that's doing is is kind of confusing the central locking system, because you've got sensors or actuators in the door that tell the ECU that that door is locked. So the lock's engaged, but the actual actuator that controls this, or controls the lock, is not. So that's now telling the ECU, hang on, we've locked, but it's not telling us we've locked, or we've got a fault. So if you've got a diagnostic equipment, you can plug it in, and sometimes it tells you, sometimes it doesn't. If there's a circuit fault, it'll tell you. But such as this, you need to actually look and see what the central locking is doing. So because this hasn't engaged fully, that's why when you press the key, the wing mirrors stay out and you get the audible warning to say that there's something wrong. So I'm just going to show you now how far the actuators move. So that's the passenger side, that's working fine. When I press lock, you can see that's flush with the handle, and the driver's side is not, it's kind of lipped out a little bit, but same when you unlock it. Look, it's not moving at all, and you can hear it. So there's something wrong with the actuator, so the door card needs to come off, and we'll have a look. I'll show you how to lock the car now. Say if you've ordered the part, or you're waiting for parts, or just say you've pulled up somewhere and you need to lock the car. So I'll show you how to do that now. So you've just pulled up somewhere, and obviously you want your car to be secure. What you can do is put the windows down, or the window, and as you press the lock button, push in the locking mechanism. And what that's doing then, it's telling the ECU that there's no fault. The wing mirrors will fold in. You can press it twice. The deadlock beep will come on, and then all you do is hold your button on the lock button, and the windows go up. So I'll just show you how to do that now. So watch. Press the key. Wing mirrors have come in. Press again. That's now deadlocked. And then hold your finger on the key, and the windows goes up. You can see, just holding the unlock button on the key, press it again, and open the door. Now there's another little bit to this. Don't mind the sheep. You'll probably find if this actuator is not quite fully disengaged, you will lose your memory settings on your seat. So that's what's happened to this one. So 1, 2 and 3 are obviously in different places on the seat. I'll press 1 now, it should go to another position, which is working now. But before, I think it's going to stop there. Before, this did not work. So the first time it ever did it, the door opened fine, obviously it didn't lock. The seat settings wouldn't work. There was something, the wing mirrors didn't come out, so you have to manually do everything. So it just goes to show how much just a little thing like that can affect the rest of the car. So obviously, this being a Range Rover, they are quite complicated, but once you figure out how they work and little things like that, you can just find it to be one fault. So anyway, I'm going to take the door card off now, and we'll have a look at this actuator. So to access the door lock, we need to remove the inner door panel. So a couple of tools that you'll need: some little picks, a tiny screwdriver, and some trim tools. So there's no point attacking it with a big screwdriver, because you're just going to leave marks, and cars like this, it's not what you want to be doing, man. You want any car, you don't want to be doing that. So there's one in the corner there, there's one behind the handle, and there's two little flaps that you've got to remove here to get to the big torque bits that's behind. Obviously once they're out of the way, some door panels hook on the Evoques they just clip on, so it's a lot better designed really. So yeah, I'll get these taken out now and get this door panel off. Right, so that's all the bolts out for the door card. I advise one of these, it's a special trim tool. Now some of the door panels hook on at the top. Now the Evoques just clip on. Now the only problem with that is the clips are usually stronger than the panel, so either the panel breaks or the clips break. So we'll give it a go, see how it comes off. Now, it's pretty cold today, so it's usually better when it's warm. That's all the clips from the top. Work down the sides now. That's strong, it bends the trim tool. Speakers. These. I'll be like, go. Pull it out. Speakers. And that's it. So I'll put the shoe in. Right, so now all that's off, you can now, as long as the window's up, I didn't mention that before, but with the window up you can get behind the window regulator to the door lock. So this is the new one here. So you've got a connection at the top and a connection at the bottom, and the actual connection for the handle is a cable, but it's quite a long cable, so that's good. So you've got a little bit of room to wiggle it about. So let's have a look now. Leave this on. I'll change this once it's out. So I'm going to unplug the electrics, remove it from the door, and I'll probably wiggle it out of that while I can move it about inside the door. One off. Just better than that one now. Two off. Set 3 screws out. So be careful you don't scratch the paintwork. There we go. Again, if we look at the other one, you can see actually how the cable from the door handle's held on. It's just a push fit by the looks of it. take that off. This is a new one. So that's the old one, that's the new one. They're exactly the same. I don't know if that's the original. I'd have thought so. It's a lot to change just for a simple actuator. Quite fiddly as well. So let's get this new one fitted and test it then. Yeah, that's on. That then sticks in there. Make sure that clips in. Like that. That's in. That's working fine. Now there's a handle clip to put back in, which are a bit of a pain. This one here. Sorry, I know you can't see a lot. Truth of the matter is neither can I. Right, we're in. Now the lock's all fitted. You can, if you wanted to test it, just get a screwdriver, a little one. That's the door as it will be shut. Well, that's the inside. And that's the outside, so they both work fine. So now the lock's fitted, I can now start to rebuild it. You've just seen me test the inner cable and the outer cable to make sure the lock's operating properly. So yeah, just rebuild it now and then we'll test it. So now all this bit's back on. I've just washed my hands because now time to put the panel back on. Now when I took the panel off, I didn't break anything, which is good, that's what we want. But can you see this here, this is the actual clip that holds the panel on. Sometimes they either get stuck in the door or pop out the panel or break. Now this one's just stuck in the door, so before I put the panel back on, you've got to remove this to put it in the panel to then push in. These are just like push fits. So I'll just remove that. There's none of the all the others come out. So I'll just remove that one first, put it back in the door, and then I'll be able to push it back on then. To show you what I mean, that's the one that's come out. It's just a case of so once you've plugged it all back in and you're all in line, just give it a bit of a and that's it. So now everything's plugged back in, we'll just test the central locking. And the way to do that, when I find my little screwdriver, you just flick the lock into the door shut position, and with the key, make sure the key is outside the car, just press lock. Now you should hear the actuator go, you should see the wing mirrors folding, and you should be able to double lock it now with no faults. Let's give it a go. Wing mirrors come in, and you can see now the difference. Look how flush that is compared to how it was before. So we'll just unlock it. That's come all the way out now, and there we go. So I'll just screw all the door panel back on properly. Right, so I'll give it a try now. Can't even do it on the door. See now the wing mirrors fold in. I'll put the key over here. There we go. That locking system's working properly now. I'll go and get the key. Key in hand. There we go. I'll just quickly explain. So this is the actuator I've removed, and now unfortunately they do come with a number of problems. On this occasion it's the actuator that's packing in. So rather than something that's broke, the actual solenoid has gone weak, and that's why the central locking was intermittent. Now, due to the way this is designed, this component does everything. So the only bit in the door that controls the central locking, everything is inbuilt in this. So you have to buy the entire lock. Now it is a bit of a expense, we'll say. Genuine Land Rover, this is about £150 just to buy, and then give at least 2 to 3 hours labour just to fit it. So, and that includes the Freelander 2, because they are prone as well. The rear doors are more prone than the front, so your Freelander 2s and your 5-door Range Rover Evoques You usually find it's the rears, but they're never usually intermittent, they're just completely packing usually. Oh, that's what I've come across anyway. So you can shop about, I do some on eBay for about £30, but me, when I'm fitting them, I like to get a warranty with them due to them failing all the time. Now, so far I've not had one back that I've fitted, so obviously the aftermarkets must be a bit better quality than the originals. So it's a strong thing to say, I know, but just going off with so far what's happened. So these come in different varieties. This Range Rover's got keyless entry, the touchpad on the door handle, so they may be different. You can't just go and buy one, you've got to make sure it's the correct one. So that, like for instance, this one won't fit a Freelander 2, and this one may not fit a 5-door Range Rover. There's just loads. So make sure you do your research on getting the correct one if you're on a budget. Again, I've got no experience with the eBay ones because I can't guarantee them when they're being fitted. So I actually use, if you look in my other videos, I use Bearmax a lot. So this is where I get these from. So that's how to trace a central locking fault on these. They are very prone. So as are the Freelander 2, in fact all the Land Rover range, the Discoveries, the Range Rovers, the Freelanders. But I do a lot with the Evoques and the Freelander 2 as regards central locking. So that was just a video to show you what goes in, because they are costly repair are these. So there is quite a lot coming with the Range Rover later on in the year. I've got to service it yet. It's due the timing belt water pump, but also I'm going to service the Haldex, which is the rear diff. Land Rover say the Haldex is lifetime oil on the back, but the early Range Rover Evoques, and especially the Freelander 2 up to about 2013, are prone for diff failure because the bearings aren't strong enough. But also it doesn't help that you're running the lifetime oil. Once the bearing starts disintegrating, it just starts disintegrating the oil, therefore you're going to have problems. So that is something I'm keen on doing. They're not actually a bad job, so there's that to do. There is quite a lot of content coming with the Range Rover later on in the year. So if you enjoyed this video, give us a subscribe, because there's plenty more coming, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.